On today's show, it's time to draft our teams of the biggest Senators draft misses in franchise history.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains, and from downtown Ottawa, we got our guy Lalime's Martian. It is Season 3 of the Ring of Honor, and it's brought to you by Gametime. Make every moment more. Go check out our friends over at Gametime for concert tickets, anything you need. Use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first ticket purchase. Today is Friday, July 18th, and Pilsy, I cannot believe it's already Season 3 of the Ring of Honor, back by popular demand.
Yeah, I have mixed emotions. I'm excited, nervous, anxious. I'm going to try my best not to get mad at you guys. I want a little bit of contention without things getting personal. If we can toe that line, that's what we want. I'm also going to work really hard on not letting the voting affect my day-to-day mental health and mood. So let's just have fun. And who better to bring along for the first one of Season 3 than our guy, Lalime's Martian.
Yeah, it's great to be back, boys. I'm excited here. Season 3, I can't believe it's already Season 3. Time flies. This is going to be a great time as usual. I'm pumped.
We are calendar respecters here on the Locked On Senators podcast, and deep in the off season, if you're new to the show, we do Ring of Honor drafts. So we pick a topic, we argue, we debate, and then we put it out for a vote on Twitter at Sens Central with anonymous names. So you can also let us know in the comments on YouTube who won the draft and who did we miss. Now, you citizens are so good to us. You guys help us out with topics, and we got a great one here from Spader, the Sens' biggest draft misses. So here is how we're breaking this one down. With this, we're going to stick to the first 2 rounds because it could get outrageous after that. And also, when you get to the later rounds, your own team missed this guy too. The team that picked that player missed that guy 5 or 6 times. So we're sticking with the first 2 rounds. You already going to argue me?
No. Hold on.
Oh, he's in the mood. He's in that.
All right. Feisty. Ross, I was going to say we're leaving ourselves the opportunity to do a different Ring of Honor rounds 4 through 7 biggest misses.
Okay. We're sticking with the top 2 rounds, and we decided that it has to be a player that is picked within 5 selections of the Senators' choice. And you have to really weigh whether or not the player that the Senators took is that much worse than the player you're going to take. And there'll be some contention along the way. Before we got on, we discussed who should start this draft. And
wait, can I just say one more wrinkle to the rules, Ross, just so everything's clear and everyone knows? You can make a pick in a draft year, and other people can pick different players that were missed on that same pick as well. So you can have whatever 2011 whatever overall, and Martian can say they missed on this guy, and then Ross can be like, yeah, they did miss on that guy, but they missed on this guy too. So you can weigh what are the bigger misses, and we can debate who got better value for those picks. I just wanted to add that in there. Sorry for interrupting.
No, that's very good. There'll be plenty of interruptions along the way as we get to this season of the Ring of Honor. The Sens' biggest draft misses, first 2 rounds within 5 picks, and somehow, I was a gentleman. I said, guys, you pick the order. It's all good. And I end up going first overall. And that's good because nobody remembers who goes number 2. With the first overall pick, I will take that guy who went number 2. A franchise-defining draft. The Senators won 10 games in their first season, and they got the first overall pick. They took Alexander Daig. Could you imagine, just in terms of the presence as an organization, if Chris Pronger was a member of the Ottawa Senators? So Chris Pronger will be my first pick.
All right. And just for clarity's sake, that was 1993 first round. Daig goes first overall. Chris Pronger goes second overall to the Hartford Whalers.
Martian, how'd you like that pick? Was that your 1-1?
It wasn't actually my 1-1. It was very high on my list.
It's not mine either.
It was not my 1-1, but obviously it's pretty funny now looking back at that, because it's pretty clear that everybody remembers number 2 in this case here, Ross. So I like the pick, but yeah, not my 1-1 on here. So I'm pretty happy with where I'm sitting with the second overall pick in this one.
Okay, let me sell this pick just real quick. One, Chris Pronger was an elite defensive defenseman, still had more points than Alexander Daigle had games played by almost 100. He is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, a world champion, a Stanley Cup champion, a Norris Trophy winner. This guy won it all. Oh, and he's in the Hockey Hall of Fame too.
Yeah, Ross, don't get it twisted. I don't think Martian and I are saying it's a bad pick at all. I think as far as storyline goes and the fact it was so early in the Sens history and all the things that go behind it, it's a great pick. I think maybe we just have different one-ones, and that there could be a little recency bias as well. But yeah, it's an interesting one for sure with the whole nobody remembers who goes second.
Yeah, and I think being early on in the Senators' history actually makes it an even bigger miss, because you have to be able to build that, and Ottawa ended up being in a perpetual rebuild for the first 5 seasons. So would it have all been different if they had Chris Pronger, who, I mean, he went number 2. It's not like he was a guy where, nobody knew how good he was going to be. Everyone knew.
I'm not sure if this hurts or helps your pick here, Ross, but everybody had Alex Dag going number 1 in that draft. So it kind of almost was like that pick was made for Ottawa in that case. So it was a safe selection for them. And I think it was a safe selection for you in this Ring of Honor as well.
All right. Okay, go ahead, Marshy. You're up.
Yeah, let's move right on here, guys. With my selection, the first selection for me in this Ring of Honor, I'm going back to the 2012 NHL entry draft, where the Ottawa Senators at 15th overall selected Cody Ceci, the hometown boy out of the 67s. I know Ceci's still playing. He's had a pretty great career, but within 4 picks of Cody Ceci that year is sitting a Vezina-winning Stanley Cup champion goaltender who would have come in at the perfect time for the Ottawa Senators, with Craig Anderson sort of aging out of his career here. And Andrei Vasilevsky is right there at the 19th overall pick. Like I said, Stanley Cup champion multiple times, 917 career save percentage. That's a franchise goalie. He'd still be playing for us right now. Imagine today's team with Andrei Vasilevsky between the pipes. I know we got Ullmark, but we wouldn't even have needed to trade for Ullmark if we had this guy. He's an absolute stud, future Hall of Famer. So I'm taking Andrei Vasilevsky with the first pick here for me.
And there's some lore behind that, because Andrei Vasilevsky's goalie coach, Charlie McTavish, is an Ottawa guy. And apparently the Senators had a pre-draft interview scheduled with Vasilevsky, and then he went to Calypso Water Park and got sunburned so bad that he had to cancel the interview, and then he never heard back from the Ottawa Senators. So that's a great pick. But what I will say too, at that moment when that draft happened, the Senators had Robin Leonard and Ben Bishop as up-and-coming goalies. They both turned out great outside of Ottawa. Funny enough, Vasilevsky was Ben Bishop's backup for a number of years with the Tampa Bay Lightning. But yes, as of today, without things have played out, phenomenal pick. It was on my list. It was in my top 5. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's got to be in your top 5. And this is going to be the interesting thing for the viewers, too, to try to balance, because Cody Ceci's not a bad NHL player. There's a lot of people on my list here who are bad NHL players who the Sens selected, who they could have taken somebody who had a much better career. But it's going to be fun for the viewers to kind of weigh out the difference between the bad selection and how good the next guy is that they could have had. So a lot to think about for the voters here on this one.
Yep, that's a good pick, Marchie. That was in my top 3. But my 1-1 falls to me at number 3. So I'm stoked. I was the ultimate gentleman in the selection of the order. I said, I don't care either way. Marshy wanted second. Ross was like, okay, I'll hop on number 1. And I slid to number 3 with no qualms. And I think karma worked out in my favor, because I can't believe that I'm getting my 1-1 here. And this is a double whammy, because the pick the Sens made was so bad and the guy they missed on was so good. Correction, is so good. In the 2005 NHL entry-level draft, the Ottawa Senators selected 9th overall Brian Lee. Oh boy, we all know Brian Lee. Didn't work out that great. But my goodness, 11th overall to the LA Kings, Anze Kopitar. I mean, oh my God. Could you imagine if the Ottawa Senators had Anze Kopitar in 2005? Martian, much like you were saying, he would still be on this team, and the projection of how this team would have gone. Because, boys, we're talking about adding Anze Kopitar to a Sens team that was already a wagon. Like, it's not like this is like the rebuilding years of the Sens and they desperately needed someone. They would have been adding a bona fide future Hall of Fame player to that roster that already was elite. So I can't believe this one fell to me at number 3, boys. I'm fired up about this. Massive miss by the Ottawa Senators in 05.
That was my number 2 pick. And I think that getting lucky they didn't get lucky with the lockout as a team that was a consistent contender before that and after. But that whole draft lottery was done with, I believe, pretty even odds all across the board. So Ottawa should not have been in a place to get a top 10 pick. And the fact that they completely whiffed on it is a huge miss. And Kopitar played in the NHL, much like Chris Pronger, at 18 years old. So it's not like you would have had to wait for him to be an NHL player. And if I remember correctly, Ottawa ended up, they won this trade. The player they moved didn't really play, but they had to go out and get a second line center in Mike Comrie the following season or 2 seasons later. So yeah, that would have filled the need as well. So that was my second overall pick. That's a great one.
Yeah, boys, could you imagine having Kopitar and Spezza down the middle, like going into those deep playoff runs? Like that's an elite 1 and 2 center right there.
And then Mike Fisher, like 1, 2, 3.
And I just remember watching that draft. That was probably one of the first drafts I ever watched, when I was really starting to get into things. And I just remember them, being all pumped up. There's a Stahl brother on the board. This Kopitar guy's there. And they take Brian Lee out of Minnesota high school. It's like, come on.
Yeah. On the board, yeah. I thought you meant the draft in itself. And I was like, because the next year it was the other Stahl brother, Jordan Stahl, went, I think, top 3. I was like, you might want to mention that this was the Sidney Crosby draft. And I believe it was done from a conference room at the Chateau Laurier in Ottawa. So it was a local draft too, and they just could not make the pick. We've made 3 picks, and we each have 3 more to go. But first, let's get to a quick break, and we'll get right back here. You're listening to the Ring of Honor, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. Look, we've all been there. You're logging on early, waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not with dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in, guys. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with killer last-minute deals. I got my concert tickets this summer at Gametime, and I'm glad I did it because I was tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal. Gametime Zone Deals picks the best seats in your section for you. And if you're wondering what your view will look like, you can check out your view on the app, so there's no surprises. With Gametime, the price you see is the price you pay. None of those hidden fees. And if you're worried about what happens if your plan changes, the Gametime guarantee has your back with cancellation protection and more. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Welcome back to the Ring of Honor. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller and the Martian. You can follow us on Twitter at Sens Central, at Lalime's Martian, and you can let us know in the comments on YouTube who wins this draft. We will put up the poll at Sens Central tomorrow morning. Or no, we'll put up the poll right away, and then tomorrow morning we'll clip the highlights and we'll get you everything you need to know about the Ring of Honor. And if you have any other ideas, we've got a list, but we're always welcome to get more topics that we can dive into. As always, it is a snake draft. So I've got Chris Pronger, Marshy's got Vasilevsky, and Pilsy's got Kopitar. And Pilsy, you are up again.
Yeah, so those were all in my top 3. So well done, boys. Great first round picks here. I love the snake here. Now let's hope that I can do this right. I feel like I was famous for messing up the snake. One of my snake picks were always terrible, but I think I got a good handle on this. We'll see how it goes here. All right, I'm going to go with the 2015 NHL entry-level draft. 48th overall, the Ottawa Senators select Philip Schlappick. We did love Schlappy, but things didn't exactly work out for him in Ottawa. And who goes one pick later, 49th overall, to the Dallas Stars, Rupe Hintz. Oh, man. Like, maybe not the biggest, like, splash name, and I don't think everybody knew it at the time, but I'm looking at comparatively when you look at these guys' careers. Schlappick played 57 NHL games, had 11 points. Rupe Hintz, 468 games so far, 377 points. Like, getting a diamond in the rough like that at 49th overall in the second round would have been so huge. And that's something the Dallas Stars do so well, is they're able to draft elite guys, not necessarily in the first round. And Rupe Hintz instead of Schlappick there would have been massive. And I'm adding some value that it was right next pick. I don't know if you guys have that same kind of valuation system, but the next pick after stings a little bit more.
And they're both Czech players. I know that Schlappick was playing in the QMJHL when he was drafted, but it feels like if you're...
Isn't Rupe Hintz Finnish?
Oh, yeah, he is. Nice. Okay, well, not my pick. Bad pick, Pilsy.
Yeah,
nice. Bad pick. Awful
Pilsy,
pick, man.
Pilsy, I'm a little surprised you're dipping into the second round so early in this Ring of Honor here. I feel like, the missed value of a first-round pick should outweigh the second-round pick in most cases.
Wow.
So and dipping into the second round is a bit of a risky move, I think.
And that's a fair point. And but I was more going for being able to hit on those second round picks, I feel like is what turns teams into contenders, because the contenders, they don't really have first round picks. They trade them to acquire guys. So you need to find ways to hit in the second round. And that's a big miss by the Sens there. And it's a big hit by the Stars. And you look at how those teams changed in that era from 2015 on, big move. So maybe I went off the board here, and maybe I could have got him a little later, but I think this is a big one.
Yeah, it was on my list, but I wasn't this high on my list. Martian, you're up.
Yeah, I wasn't that high on my list either, and I'm not going to stray too far away from the draft that you used there, Pilsy. I'm just going 1 year later here to the 2016 draft, where in the first round, the Ottawa Senators selected at 11th overall Logan Brown out of the Windsor Spitfires here. At the time, I think a lot of Sens fans were excited about this pick. He was lighting up the OHL, big, huge centerman, great hands. I think it reminded a lot of people of maybe like a Jason Spezza type player. I think people were excited about that. But then just 3 picks later stands a great right-handed defenseman who is on that U.S. World Championship team last year, and that's Charlie McAvoy. And wouldn't he look fantastic right now on a first pairing with Jake Sanderson? Just 2 American studs back there. Would have been amazing. I mean, Logan Brown, his career has been an absolute roller coaster. He's only got 99 NHL games played. His boots are horrible. His skill never really translated to the NHL. But then you look at Charlie McAvoy, and this guy's a physical, great defender, got offensive touch, over 500 games played in the NHL already, a key piece of that Boston Bruins team. He might even be named captain coming up here pretty soon. 300 points in his career, some playoff success as well. I mean, Charlie McAvoy is a stallion, and he would look amazing as an Ottawa Senator right now. So I'm going to go with Charlie McAvoy for Logan Brown in my next pick here.
That would have been my pick. That's a
Good
fantastic one, and it should have been the pick at the time, too. I remember Ottawa had just drafted Thomas Chabot the year before, and then at the 2016 World Juniors, or 2017, the year after McAvoy had been drafted, it was literally McAvoy running Team USA and Thomas Chabot running Team Canada, and you're just like, come on, we could have had them both. Instead, the Sens went with Logan Brown.
Yeah,
and Oh, go ahead,
I
Martian.
was going to say, if you remember that playoff run for the Sens,
Yes.
they ran into the Boston Bruins, and coming out of college, fresh out of college, was a young Charlie McAvoy that year, played for the Bruins in the playoffs against the Sens and looked great. He was getting tons of media attention at the time, and he just continued that momentum through his whole career. So we got an early glimpse at that that pick being a miss. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good pick. That was going to be my point. It would have been nice to have him on our side, not against us in that round.
Yeah. Okay. I'm up.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good picks all along. I'm going to go with one that at the time, again, everybody kind of wanted this player, and their career trajectories have also gone the same direction that we had anticipated. Ottawa had 2 first-round picks in 2015. They crushed the first one with Thomas Chabot. The second one, Colin White at the time, it was a decent pick, but they didn't even have to look out of their own backyard because at the time, the Civic Center was under construction and the 67s were playing at the CTC, then Scotiabank Place. And Travis Konechny has had a hell of a career, and they could have had him at 21. He's an absolute pest out there, the type of player the Sens love. And, oh, yeah, he can score, too. He's had a heck of a career so far, just signed a huge ticket, and wouldn't a 2-time 30-goal scorer, a guy who's still at 28 years old getting better, career highs in points in each of the last 2 seasons. I think Konechny would have been a heck of a pick there for Ottawa. Imagine leaving that first round with Chabot and Konechny. Sheesh.
Whew. Yeah, that would have been beautiful. And he has that nice gritty style of play that we love too. He's super skilled, but he also brings a little bit of that pest energy, like you said, Ross. I love that player. And it's too bad Colin White didn't work out because he was a great guy and a fan favorite, and good for that media team, I think, too, to get a laugh out of the fans with some content. But too bad his on-ice performance wasn't quite up snuff when you compare it to his off-ice antics.
Yeah, that's a good pick. That was one that I still haunts me to this day. Like, I can't believe, like, if Konechny had been playing somewhere else, okay, but literally playing in your arena and you pass on him like that was painful.
Now, does anybody have pushback that I went with Konechny? Because Brock Besser went 23rd in that draft.
Whoa.
Okay.
I mean, you have the next pick, so I guess you could do that.
That would be wild. Imagine I just one up myself.
Yeah.
I'm very confident that Konechny is a much better player than Brock Besser. And then the storyline we brought up too.
Wait, did you say much better?
Yeah, much better.
Wow. Okay.
If you're building a team, there's no question that you're taking Konechny over Brock Besser.
I think they're close. Like, Besser, 554 games, 434 points. Konechny in about 100 more games has 42 more points. Like, I would say they're close. Like, definitely I prefer Konechny's style of game, but I don't think it's that big of a gap, personally.
Yeah, well, I think that a part of those extra games were Konechny as a teenager and a 20-year-old, right? He made the Philadelphia Flyers 1 year after, or like he played his draft plus 1 season and then went right to the NHL and only had 28 points in 70 games. But he's been a consistent 50-point guy, other than obviously the COVID year that was shortened, but he's had at least 50 points in each of the last 5 full seasons. I just think he brings more. Like, obviously Besser's a shooter, but that's my guy. Speaking of shooters, my next pick here, boys, right after a quick break. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by our bar in the heart of the Glebe. It's the Glebe Central Pub. You can visit the GCP where the vibes are free at 779 Bank Street. It's walking distance to Lansdowne, just down the street. And yes, it is a Ottawa Red Blacks home game weekend hosting the Hamilton Ticats this Sunday. So get to the pub early and get ready to rock for the game. You can also head there after the game. There's always something going on at the GCP, whether it's during a trip to Lansdowne to go shopping or watch the CFL, or it's a night out with friends. They've got something for you just about every night of the week at the GCP. Wing night on Monday. How many can you crush? Go find out. And then it's trivia night on Tuesday. Bring your crew and put that knowledge to the test. Wednesdays, open mic nights, whether you play, sing, or just want to kick back and listen. It's always a great time to get over the hump. Thursdays, cheap tacos, and Saturday nights, live music with no cover ever. So whether you want to head there for an event or just a night out with friends, make the Glebe Central Pub your home base because, as you know, the vibes are free at the GCP. Welcome back to the Ring of Honor. We're doing our biggest Sens draft misses only in the first 2 rounds, and the picks have to be within 5 of the Ottawa Senators selections. We'll recap all of our picks after the draft. If you're watching on YouTube, we got this thing pulled up the whole way through. I'm going a little more recent here now, but it's again one that was a head scratcher at the time, and it's still a head scratcher now with one player out of the league and the other one just signing a huge ticket. Everybody knew the first round was the round to watch in the 2020 draft, Ottawa with the 3rd, 5th, and 28th selection. But there's nothing quite like the excitement of having the first pick on day 2. Who are you going to take? Who fell out of the first round? And it was pretty clear that that player was not Roby Järventie, who ended up going with the pick. One pick later, it's JJ Peterka. Yeah, the storyline of him and Stützle reuniting, the storyline of him coming into the National Hockey League and immediately becoming a point producer, whereas it was not that way for Roby Järventie. So I'm going with JJ Peterka. Guy had 68 points in 77 games this year and just consistently getting better and doing that on an awful team in Buffalo. I think if he gets an opportunity to play in the top 6 in Utah, which he should with the contract he signed, like he's easily going to surpass 68 points that he had this past season. So I think that not only for what it meant for the pick, but what it meant for the organization they already hit a grand slam on day 1. If they could have won up that on day 2, we could be looking at an even more potent Ottawa Senators team right now. So I'm on with JJ Peterka.
No, that's a good one and good value at this point of the draft because, what are the Ottawa Senators missing? A top 6 shooter that can play with Tim Stützle. That would have solved that problem.
Yeah. And one pick apart, Pills. You like that?
I like that. I said it was a good pick. It's a good pick.
Yeah, but the thing is, Ross, I do like your strategy here because this is like almost a recency bias thing for a lot of people. JJ Peterka, for whatever reason, I know he's a great player and he's up and coming here, but Ottawa Senators fans are infatuated with this player. Like, we're in love with him, right? Like, you see it online all the time. People are talking about him.
Pandering.
So it's a bit of a pander pick. I'm not.
I'm the recency bias guy. I've got a guy from 1993 on my list.
Yeah, that's a recency bias pander pick.
Okay.
I like it, Martian.
I only see 2000s on both of your boards.
Yeah. All right. Well, if that's what it's going to be, that's what it's going to be, Ross. I don't hate the pick. I think it's good. I might be a little bit jealous. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, nice. I know you are.
All right. Well, I'm kind of like, my research was very limited for this, but I am ready for my next pick here, boys. It's going to be very difficult for me to choose between 2 different options here. I really wanted to. You know what? What the hell? I'm going to go for it here. I'm going to go back to the 1993 draft here, Ross. I'm going to go with the exact same pick you had with your 1-1, where they selected Alex Dagg. And there was another really, really good player on that draft board there, and that was Paul Kariya, gentlemen.
All right.
Talk about a guy who ran the show during his career while he was in the league. Almost 1,000 points in his career, almost 1,000 games played. He blew Dagg out of the water. He was just a stallion on that Anaheim Ducks team, and had a great career just overall. I think Paul Kariya, if it wasn't for the couple concussions, I think he could have had a longer career, but. He got banged up pretty good out there, but Paul Kariya would have looked amazing in an Ottawa Senators jersey. So I like the way the name looks on the board here, boys. Paul Kariya, that's a legend. So I'm going to go with Paul Kariya here over Dagg. I think that the value they could have had versus what they got is huge. So let's go with Paul Kariya here.
Pilsy, who would you rather, Chris Pronger or Paul Kariya through the course of their careers?
You took Pronger with the 1-1. Martian's getting Kariya in the 3rd round here. So I think the value works out. But
I also think you have to take into account that there was a bigger miss than Paul Kariya with this player.
Yes, absolutely. But that's where Martian has to decide, is this is this the spot to take this, and is it worth it at this point? I had Paul Kariya on my list for sure. I was thinking about taking him with my next pick, but having the pick already made and the better player taken, I think does add a wrinkle to this. But it's not. I don't think it's a bad pick this far in the
I don't
draft.
think it's a bad pick. It's
and
the value's
Yeah,
there.
like, I'll concede to you that Chris Pronger was a bigger.
I don't think anyone's arguing that. Yeah.
Where I'm at in this draft and what's left for me, I think that not taking Paul Kariya there is just as bad as any of the other lists.
But it's not the Sens' biggest draft miss, because the biggest is one.
It's one. They could have gone with that pick and it wouldn't have been even listed on this. So
yeah, okay, all right, Pillsy, you're up.
No, I think that's fair. And also with Paul Kariya, I love this. Guys that finish exactly point per game. 989 games, 989 points. That's right off into the sunset if you've got that. It would have been nice to get 1,000, 11 more games, 11 more points, but couldn't get it done, unfortunately, with the injuries for Paul Kariya, but that's a fun one. All right.
You gonna take Chris Gratton? Why don't we just do the top 5 in 1993?
Chris Gratton was great too, man.
Okay, there's a couple different ways I could go with this, but I'm gonna try to pop on the graphic a little more here. Let's go to 2012.
Okay,
15th overall, Cody Ceci to the Ottawa Senators, and 17th overall to the San Jose Sharks, Thomas Hertl. I mean,
whoa,
that would have been a real nice player to add to this team. And you look at how he finished, or how his season has gone so far. 549 points. He's playing on the Vegas Golden Knights. He's a power forward. It would have been nice to have Thomas Hertl there instead of Cody Ceci.
Interesting pick. I did not think you were gonna go there.
You know what? I would have looked at the very next pick after season just as equally with Tom Wilson. I mean, who would you rather have on your team right now? Looking at this Sens team, can you imagine Tom Wilson and Brady Tkachuk on the same roster? I mean, talk about having a team identity.
Wow.
Yeah, Hertl's a good player, but I just don't know about that selection there, Pills. You might have hurt yourself with that one.
I thought Pillsy's third picks have always been what bites him on these. So I think Wilson's name pops more on the graphic, but you wanted to add, you put the AS in Tom and added a Hertl at the end there, 17th overall. And Pillsy loves one pick apart apparently too, but he's gone with two twice now out of his 3 picks.
Well, that's 2 picks apart there.
That's what I'm saying. You've got 2 picks apart twice.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
With Kopitar and Brian Lee. Great pick. But surprised. Yeah,
that's fair.
Maybe he's going to take Tom Wilson with his next one.
Yeah, I could do that. I thought about Tom Wilson there, but I just think Hertl is going to have a better career overall. We'll see how long Tom Wilson can keep it going. And Tom Wilson comes at a price. He's got a big salary cap to him, and he did have the injury concerns.
It feels Martian, first time we've heard salary cap involved. We're digging deep into the arguments.
It's a factor. We're in a salary cap league.
Too much money.
Yeah, I mean, not that Hertl is
usually
cheap
better players make more money. I'll just say that. We didn't say there's a salary cap in here.
Yeah, so that adds to my point then, I guess. Thank you. There's a couple different ways I could go with this last. Part of me wants to take Wilson just to cover myself here, but I don't think I'm gonna do that.
I'm happy you went with this because I got 3 left on my list, and now I know that I'm gonna get one. I would have been full panic mode if we kept going on my list.
I don't want to repeat a pick again, but I feel like that's the best play here.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
2015. I'm going Brock Besser.
No.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that would also solve the Ottawa Senators issue of having another top 6 shooter, and that's a guy that, sure, not the speed that could go along with Timmy, but all you got to do is get him the puck. He scored over 40 goals in a season before. He's signed to a nice ticket. I don't know if that's what the Ottawa Senators could have got him at, but that is good value in a contract there. And having that kind of scoring is what the Ottawa Senators need. So I'm going Brock Besser with my final pick here.
Okay.
All right. Bill, yeah, I mean, the repeat of the pick, again, it might be something that hurts you here, but
Yeah.
I did the same thing, but
It waters it down. I'm aware.
it does. But Brock Besser's a hell of a player, and he's way better than Colin White. So when
Yeah.
you're looking at value versus value there, Pillsy, you did all right. You did all right.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
did all right, kid.
Good
For a
player.
4th round pick, I feel like that's good value.
Yeah. I mean, this one's tough for me. I'm definitely going to be leaving Ross with options with the last pick because I don't even know if he's going to have this one listed on his board here. It's a bit of a different style.
Wait, Marsh, before you make your pick, can I just make one correction to the graphic? We changed how we're doing the graphic for a couple picks here, Ross.
Where?
In the 2nd round, you put the player the Sens took, and then who.
Apologies.
It's okay. It's not a big deal. I just want to correct that before we put the graphic out because I know you're a stickler for.
I would have snapped on that.
Exactly. So I'm trying to help you out here. Sorry, Martian, for interrupting.
What a good guy.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I mean, with my next pick, this is a pick I didn't even know existed. I've never heard of the guy that the Sens took in this one. It's probably because it's going a ways back here, but I've definitely heard of the guy who went 4 picks later. So we're going back to 1995 here, gentlemen. It's the first selection in the 2nd round of that draft. The Ottawa Senators took a guy named Mark Morrow, Moro. I've never heard of this player. Out of the Kingston Frontenacs, he's a defenseman, only played 30 games in the National League, so that's probably why I've never heard of him. But then just 4 picks later, an absolute ambassador of the game who's still around on social media. He's a character of the game. He was a hell of an enforcer at a time where the league needed enforcers. This name is going to pop on this graphic, and that is at the 5th pick in the 2nd round in the 1995 draft. Edmonton got George Laraque. He's a great guy, a great enforcer. Played a ton of games in the league at 695, almost 700 games there. And, he chipped in a little bit offensively as well. He was good for around 5 or 6 goals a year. But that's not why he was there, though, Ross. He was there for the penalty minutes, and he had 1,126 of those. The majority, I have to assume, were fighting majors and misconducts, protecting his teammates. He would have been a great Ottawa Senator. A little bit of that French-Canadian flavor as well that I think the Sens were looking for when they took Alex Dagg. He would have done great things for growing the game here in Ottawa and across the river in Gatineau and such. So I'm going to go with Georgie Laraque. I think he would have been a fan favorite. Him and Chris Neal running around out there together would have been a great time. So I'm going Georgie Laraque.
All right, I like it, Martian. Adding a little flavor in the 4th round. That's he was not on my list, but I didn't approach it in that way, and that's classic. You go for the vibes, and that might be a nice one. So that's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. I mean, he wasn't that good. He wasn't a really good player, though.
He was effective, though, in his own way, Ross. Very effective.
Yeah, especially in that era.
Yes.
Okay.
I see the vision.
You see the vision. I hope the viewers see the vision as well here. You got to think big. It's not all about points here. Sens had a lot of offense on those teams. If they would have had a little more grit, maybe they would have got past the Leafs a couple times.
Yeah. Hey.
Okay, you sold it nice, but I mean, I'm shocked that you left this one on the table for me, especially if you want like a tough player. But I got a tough player who can score too with my final pick, unless Pillsy has anything to say about yours.
Nope. Go ahead.
So in the 2007 spring, the Ottawa Senators made it to the Stanley Cup final. They then took Jim O'Brien with their 1st round pick. In their 2nd round selection, they took a Russian. It was actually the last player they drafted out of Russia until this year. Ruslan Bashkarov. Ever heard of him? No, me neither.
No.
Well, the guy who went 1 pick later, played over 1,000 games in the National Hockey League, was the type of player that you want on your team in the postseason. And he also was 1 pick later, which we value here on this graphic. The Ottawa Senators could have made it to the finals and drafted Wayne Simmons with the next second round pick. So I went with Wayne Simmons here to end off my graphic. 526 career points, 1,037 games played 15 seasons in the National Hockey League. There's only a handful of guys from this draft, a good draft, I may say, 2007, that played that many games. One of them is Sam Gagner, now development staff. Another one is David Perron, who has played 1,174 games, which is third in his draft class. But Wayne Simmons is 10th in his draft class in games played, and Ruslan Bashkarov is dead last with 0.
Yeah, that's a nice pick. Had him on my list. Yeah, I was a big fan of Wayne Simmons, especially when he made his way to Philly. Like those years he had in Philly, he was a force and he could put up points.
He was Giroux's wingman.
Yeah.
And who is it? Jakub Voracek on the other wing? He was also in that 2007 draft.
Yeah, very similar pick to my last pick, Ross. I feel.
No, it's not.
I think it is. I think you're just looking at a guy who got drafted who we have no idea who he is versus a great kind of tough enforcer type player who could put up a few points. I know Wayne Simmons.
No, Wayne Simmons put up more than a few points. In his prime, he was really good.
But if you flip the eras and like the amount of, effort and effectiveness that was needed from each of those guys, George LaRocque is just as effective a player.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. Sure he was.
It took, so Wayne Simmons played 15 seasons, and if you just take his first 4 seasons when he was just getting into the league, he had more career points than LaRocque had in his entire career.
Look at Ross. I was weighing between the 2 picks, and I picked what I picked. Okay, I saw you thought I was going to be leaving that there for you. I just like George LaRocque better. I think that George LaRocque is a better fit here for me.
No, it's not. But I mean, we did both take players that didn't play for the Ottawa Senators, so I think there's value to be had in that because those are the only guys on this entire list that played 0 NHL games. Yarventi, 1 point maybe in about 10 games with Ottawa, but everybody else at least played for the Ottawa Senators except for our last 2 picks. Shout out Mark Morrow and Ruslan Bashkarov here. So this is the draft. Let's each run through our own teams. I led off with Chris Pronger, 1 pick after Alexandre Daigle in 1993. Then I went with Travis Konechny at 24th overall instead of Colin White, JJ Peterka instead of Roby Yarventi, and Wayne Simmons instead of Ruslan Bashkarov. Martian, your list.
Oh, you're muted, Marshy.
We got a new mute. Jeez. That's
my-
almost as bad as his last pick.
I'm out of practice here, boys. It's been a while here for me. So I've got the Stanley Cup champion, Vezina-winning goaltender Andrei Vasilevsky at 19th overall over Cody Ceci, who went 15th that year. Then I've got Charlie McAvoy, who's probably going to win a Norris Trophy in his career at 14th overall instead of Logan Brown at 11. And then I took a great player, a legend of the game, Paul Kariya, over Alex Daigle, who went first overall that year. And then I took just an enforcer beauty legend, George LaRocque, who went 31 over Mark Morrow at 27.
Nice. My first pick, I went in 2005. The Ottawa Senators selected Brian Lee at 9th. Could have had Anze Kopitar at 11 and could have added him to the wagon of Sens teams that were in that era. And then in 2015, in the second round, the Ottawa Senators select Philip Schlappick, 48th overall. 1 pick later, the Dallas Stars took Rupe Hintz. In 2012, Cody Ceci was selected 15th overall by the Sens. Could have had Thomas Hertl at 17. And then finally wrapped it up with 2015. Colin White was selected 21st overall. Brock Besser selected 2 picks later.
That was fun. I really enjoyed that. Let's do some honorable mentions. Who else did you guys have on your list? I had 2 more on mine.
I had
a couple more.
I had a couple funny ones here. This one's kind of weird because these picks ended up getting traded for each other before either guy played for in the other team's jersey. So the Sens selected in, I believe it was 1995, Brian Berard, who refused to play for Ottawa. And then with the very next pick, I think it was the Islanders took Wade Redden, who obviously ended up being a Sens legend himself.
That would have been a good one on the graphic.
Yeah, because after Berard didn't want to play for Ottawa, they just did a 1-for-1 trade, I believe. It was Redden for Berard, but it would have been great if the Sens just avoided all that mess and just took Redden in the first place. So I think that would have
or traded back and got more assets.
Exactly. How'd they not get like a 6th round pick or back then like a 10th round pick?
that happened a good, like, I wouldn't say a lot, but I mean, it happened a good amount where guys just refused to play for certain teams. I don't know what Berard's story was there, but he didn't want to play for Ottawa for whatever reason. So
then Hossa took out his eye.
It's true. I think it was at that game, or it definitely was watching on TV. But yeah, Wade Redden would have came gladly to Ottawa, as we know.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
What are your other ones, Marcy? Let's just run through all our.
I had again that Logan Brown pick. They could have taken Jacob Chikrin there instead.
I thought about that one, but that would not have played on the graphics.
No,
Sens fans would not have liked that, even though it's value.
Yeah, that's why I avoided that one. I had one that would have been very controversial because this is a beloved Sens player, and I decided it wasn't worth pissing anybody off and losing votes over this. But I was going to say Ryan Smith over Radek Bonk. I think that would have been a decent selection if it wasn't all Sens fans voting, because I know how much people love Bonk, especially shout out our boy Nick Spence. He's a big Bonk lover. Ryan Smith, obviously Captain Canada there. That's what they called him. Gritty net front guy, great leader. He would have looked good in a Sens jersey too. Yeah,
I like that. Mine didn't really pop off on the graphic. That's why I didn't take them, but I do think they're both worth mentioning. When Ottawa took Gabriel Gagne, bad guy, not a great hockey player either. They could have had Brandon Carlo with the next pick. He's had a real nice career, almost 600 games and a steady right shot, top 4 defenseman. And the other one I had is one pick after the all-around guy, Johnny Tyconic, was Kirill Marchenko, who's got 75 goals and buzzing with Columbus right now. But I just didn't think with the longevity that it would play either.
Yeah, that's fair. Those were on my list as well. I had in 2009 Jared Cowan, but then 11th overall, the Preds got Ryan Ellis. But I feel like people hate on Ryan Ellis because he was a small guy. But in his prime, like the years of Shea Weber and Ryan Ellis with the Predators, like that was a really good 1-2 punch. And unfortunately, Ellis has had some injuries that's kept him from playing recently. And then in 2011, Shane Prince goes to the Sens, 61st overall, but sneaky value, 64th overall, Vinny Trocheck to the Panthers. Like
that was on my list of bills. Yeah, that was sitting there for me. I thought about taking that one as well. If you go,
Trocheck's a nice player,
great player. But if you go even the first round of that draft, they took Matt Pumple, right? That was the same draft. They could.
They had 3 first-round picks. That was the year. I think they got a first for. They definitely got one for Mike Fisher. I forget how they got the third one. Was it for Chris Kelly?
Yeah, I think
it was a first-round pick for Chris Kelly. That's a story for another day. But they also took Mika Zibanejad at 6.
Well, that actually kind of transitions nice too, because Matt Pumple, who they took, they could have taken Phil Deneau instead, who would have been a great Chris Kelly kind of replacement player.
Yeah, true.
Yep. I thought about that one as well. I also thought, I didn't put it on my list, but how big is the gap between Scheifele and Zibanejad for you guys? Is that big enough to put it there? I was weighing that.
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah, but I mean, Mika Zibanejad was not a miss, so it wouldn't have made sense on the graphic. This one I don't like, but it could be debated. Brock Faber going 1 pick after Clevin.
Oh
yeah, I mean, Faber took a step back this year a little bit, 29 points in 78 games. But yeah, I mean, it's a valid argument.
Yeah,
it could be. Yeah, I just think that's gross doing a guy who's on the team right now dirty like that. So.
And I didn't do it.
It's the last honorable mention. But
yeah. Clevin's what this team needs on the left side bottom pair. So I don't get it twisted. But imagine the trade back with the Leafs and then the pop of getting Faber with that pick, how he started his career. That would have been crazy.
And the irony is those two were D pair at the program.
True. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
So It's like it's almost like when Boston ended up taking Jakub Zboril instead of Thomas Chabot, and it's like you watched them play together all year. How do you make that pick? So
yeah.
Anyways, fun topic. We really enjoyed that. Shout out to Spader on Twitter who posted that. It was the most liked comment as well. So we hope we did it justice. Let us know in the comments as well who else we missed and who had the best and the worst picks in this draft. Martian, any final thoughts, man? You'll be back next week, to get another one going?
Yeah, let's do it again next week, boys. This is a lot of
Yeah.
fun. I always enjoy doing these. It's very relaxed, just fun topics. It feels like doing like a fantasy football draft or something like that. Like you're just waiting for your next pick, hoping your guy's going to be there. It's a blast. I hope everybody enjoys listening to that. But it was fun. It's always fun, boys. Ring of Honor.
It's a great Friday vibe in the summer. We find Bills. Any final thoughts on today's show?
I think we should do the other one from rounds 3 to 7 of biggest misses. Same rules, 5 within 5 picks, but I think that could be fun too, because that's when you get into some real deep cuts where like the guys that get picked are just kind of like your guys' last picks, play 0 games, you have no clue who they are, and then there's superstars being picked around them. So that could be a lot of fun too. I think it's good we narrowed it this time, but it does leave it open to add another one here.
Yeah. The only thing about that is I don't want to dig through like 6 rounds of, whatever it's been, 30 drafts. It's going to be a lot of research for me. But yeah, I can see it, Bills. It could be fun.
Yeah. I think we've got a pretty fun one planned for next week. And there was a lot of contention about doing the top moments of last season. Maybe we'll get to it. Maybe we won't. We'll have to keep everybody on their toes for that. But hope you enjoyed episode 1 of season 3 of the Ring of Honor. And a lot of these don't age out. So if you enjoyed it, you can check out our playlist on YouTube. We've got all the Ring of Honors ready and available that we've done so far. For today, we say goodbye. Make sure you vote later today on Twitter at Sens Central who had the best team in this Ring of Honor. For the Martian and Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.